Mulligan comes across. What do we have here? Echoing Ooze, Nerubian Egg, and Loafeb. On the first hand, it seems like Loafeb is going to be mulliganed. And Clockwork Gnome, Loafeb, Abusive Sergeant, and a Harvesting Golem on the other hand. So, mulligans have been made. Implosion landing in his hand. First play is going to be made. The Flaming Imp going to be dropped here. Clockwork Gnome going to be played in response. So both players starting out with Warlock first. So quite interesting matchup here. So we see double Nerubian Egg here. Probably not going to be played just yet until he can play the Direwolf Alpha in combination with it. I think he's thinking about either tapping or maybe playing one of his eggs. It seems like he's going to go for a Direwolf Alpha play here, buff up his Flame to 4-2. And that will leave him with 26 health remaining. Now has free mana technically available to himself by use of the coin. Clockwork Gnome going to run into that Flame Imp. Let's see what spare part he got from that one. Did get the +1 damage. Direwolf Alpha going to be played and ending his turn, so leaving both players with that Direwolf on the field. Nerubian Egg is going to be played out here. Direwolf Alpha does remain 2-2 and is going to be sacrificed to get rid of the opposing Direwolf Alpha, so that leaves him with just a 0-2 Nerubian Egg on the field. But it seems like being at 24 health doesn't really bother him, and actually does land a silence from the Ironbeak Owl on the Nerubian Egg, so that will just remain a 0-2 minion there, not doing anything. Of course, it can still be buffed up by any other means, like power overwhelming or stuff like that, but nothing like that in his hand. Echoing Ooze played out, and that Knife Juggler Dagger landing into that one. Second one landing into him, so no minions remaining. Explosion coming across, 4 damage, and 4 imps joining on the field. In response, Life Tap is going to be used. Let's see what he got from that one. It's going to be a Doom Guard. Second Nerubian Egg is going to be played out and needs to start trading to get rid of those imps as the Harvester Golem gets pulled out. So let's take a quick look at what he can do here. Has 5 mana available for himself, so Defender of Argus definitely an option here. He could Implosion to gain some more imps on the field. Power Overwhelming is probably going to be saved with to push for a game later on or get rid of a big minion. Though it seems like both players are playing relatively the same deck as far as I can tell, or the same variant of the deck. So is going to go for a Defender of Argus play, combines it with the Abusive Sergeant, and just got it out on the board. So he didn't use it to attack into him, but instead to get rid of a minion. Not too sure why he did that, but probably just wanted to get the Abusive Sergeant out on the field because he had the mana to do so, but kind of makes me wonder why he didn't use his card that he got from the Clockwork. No Implosion going to be used in response, gets free imps for that one. And that Abusive Sergeant running into that one. Nerubian does spawn, but will fall, and 4 damage coming out, and he is not happy about that as all the taggers land and leaving him with 20 health. Look at that smile on his face knowing that that just happened. And looking at the board now, he's wondering what he can do with 7 mana. I feel that perhaps a Harvester Golem and Defender of Argus would be a right player, but decides to go for a Life Tap instead. And Ironbeak Owl on to the Knife Juggler and then the Harvester Golem, but still 18 damage. It's not really a hard feat now, as he does have 11 on the board with another 5 with the spells in his hand. So that would be 16. And going straight for face. They're doing all the damage that he can. Not using the power overwhelming though, just saving it for next turn as he didn't have lethal this turn. Haunted Creeper being the card he draws Life Tap. And I think he's counting out how much damage he can do and how much damage he can take next turn. But I do not think that there is a way for him to clear the board out completely. He can set up a little bit of a defensive board with that Defender of Argus. Yes, he does have the mana to do so. And he could maybe use that Power Overwhelming to get rid of one of the minions on his opponent's field. Defender of Argus is going to be played out, and that defensive board is going to be helpful, but Knife Juggler is going to land in the first Harvester Golem. Second Harvester Golem goes down, and all the imps being charged up, and the Power Overwhelming is enough. So I have been told that this is IceFox versus xyuan. A lot of thanks to Harpo for that one. So I would assume that if I follow the bracket, that xyuan would be 1-0 up. And IceFox now gonna go ahead and play Jaina, and it seems like it is Frost Mage. Ooh, double Undertaker with a Clockwork Gnome coming out. So those will be buffed up to 2 free. Now IceFox, hovering over his card, is going to use the Frostbolt to get rid of one of those Undertakers. Can't get rid of both. No Death Rattle minions in xyuan's hand though, so can't buff up his Undertaker more, but can do a lot of damage to IceFox. IceFox with that Frost Mage deck, I'd say. He's thinking about his options. Blast is going to be used to get rid of that, but I think that is a stealthing field. Can't see it properly from here. Life tap going to be used to draw into a Harvester Golem. Flame Imp also landing. And that will mean that the Undertaker will be cloaked as well for a next turn Harvest Golem play, so that Undertaker is going to get stronger and stronger. But I feel that IceFox is just collecting cards at this moment, trying to get his combo going on, trying to stall for as long as possible. Coin into anti-healbot can use buff him back up to 30, so pretty much nullified all the damage that Xyuan just did to him. And Xyuan gonna go ahead and bust out that implosion. Only 2 damage, so that anti-healbot is still standing. But he is just gonna ignore hit, bumping IceFox back down to 25. Who has drawn a big game Hunter for his turn. First Fire Blast going to be used to get rid of 1 Imp, and IceFox going to get rid of that anti-Healbot as well. Deciding to put up his defenses a bit more. Clockwork Gnome again being pulled by Xyuan. Power Overwhelming gonna buff him up to 7-3, and the last 7-4, and the last imp gonna be used. Gets out a Dark Iron Dwarf, no Battlecry effect, of course, as it has been summoned by a card effect rather than being summoned inherently. Now back to IceFox, who has a Sludge Belcher in his hand, 6 mana. Frost Nova might be something you can play. Doomsayer now on the field, and does freeze up the entire field. So, but just in time, the Ironbeak Owl is being played to prevent all his minions from being destroyed, and the Sea Giant now also being dropped. I do wonder what the flavor text is for Sea Giant in Chinese. I don't know if anyone in the chat has a Chinese client, but Big Game Hunter sniping now that Sea Giant. And IceFox getting a copy of that Big Game Hunter and the Doomsayer for next turn. I feel that Xyuan is still in a pretty comfortable position here, but he knows that IceFox has a Doomsayer in hand and another Big Game Hunter, so he needs to be a little bit careful with his card choices being too aggressive, because he can expect another Frost Nova coming in, but it seems like he does go for the reckless play here, going all out aggressive, and I feel that IceFox is still pretty happy about that because he can do his card combo yet again for next turn. So, IceFox repeating exactly what he did the previous turn. Still has mana left to do a Fire Blast, but not too sure he would want to do that considering that Xyuan is playing Damage, or is playing those Giants, excuse me. Cold Light Oracle also in his hand, but probably not going to play that because I feel that he doesn't want to give Xyuan any cards that could potentially get rid of his Doomsayer. So Harvest Golem being pulled, and I feel that Xyuan needs to tap though if he wants to potentially get rid of that Doomsayer. Draws into a Knife Juggler. It's not going to be his answer for that one, so he just has to concede that his minions are going to be destroyed next turn, but he might as well bring out that Harvest Golem to bring out the Damage Golem, so if he doesn't leave with a completely empty field, that he still has something on the field. Flame Strike now being pulled. And let's see what IceFox has in hand. Still has a Sludge Belcher for the taunt. Cone of Cold going to be busted out. And Sludge Belcher now on the field, so that's going to leave Xyuan with quite a bit of an issue here because he needs to get rid over double taunt. Now Doomguard, Abusive Sergeant can potentially get rid of that, but he will lose a lot of cards for that. Is going to lose a second Doomguard and a Knife Juggler. Pulls the second Knife Juggler. And will buff up his Knife Juggler to free with with that card that he got from the second Clockwork Gnome earlier on. But now IceFox is sitting comfortably at a card advantage, and he can get rid of the entire field of Xyuan. First, Big Game Hunter going to be played out, and then the Flame Strike. Not fearing any golems anytime soon. Nerubian Egg being pulled, as well as a Flame Imp, and that's not a good hand for Xyuan, running further and further behind in this game. Now sitting at 11 hit points here. And let's see, that is an Explosive Sheep. The card hasn't updated for IceFox just yet, so apologies for that. So Alexstrasza is probably going to be saved up for later on. Nerubian Egg still standing, and I feel that IceFox is feeling pretty comfortable right now as long as he still has that 1-2 slime on the field, because that means that he will get to deter at least one attack coming out from IceFox or from Xyuan. But I feel that he's thinking about whether he wants to trade off his Big Game Hunter against the Flame Imp, as it would ensure the security of his 1-2 slime that has taunt. Alexstrasza is going to be used to heal himself up for a little bit, and is going to trade off that Big Game Hunter. 1 damage landing on to Xyuan, and Xyuan now drawing into a low Fib has to do something here. Buffs up his Nerubian Egg, but can't really kill it off, so all the spells from IceFox now costing a little bit more. But I'm not too sure if IceFox even cares at this point, but then again, just busts out the secret. Alexstrasza still on the field, is going to go get rid of the lower Feb. IceFox playing this very calculated, doesn't want to take any risk with being defeated this turn. Another tap coming out, and that is going to be a Haunted Creeper, and Xyuan now going to go ahead and throw the towel in. So welcome back everyone, this is game 3 between IceFox and Xyuan. IceFox being on your left, Xyuan being on your right. So it seems like Xyuan is going to go with Hunter versus the Mage of IceFox. And if you're wondering what the cheers were about, those were probably from the double Undertaker that Xyuan has gotten. But IceFox is going to go ahead and bust out the Doomsayer, saying, yeah, good luck getting over this one. Xyuan conceding with that and just doing as much damage as he can. Both of his Undertakers now destroyed. So IceFox setting up some defenses here. Eaglehorn Bow hovered over, and he is going to take a little bit of damage from that, but he just wants to get that taunted minion off the field. And now IceFox, see what he draws into. Frost Nova. Nothing really to play for him at this point. He might bring out that Explosive Sheep just for the sake of it, and doing as much damage as he can. So I'm kind of wondering where Xyuan is going to take this right now, because I don't think that he expected his. I don't think he expected his Undertakers to be destroyed both the same turn from that play from IceFox. And of course, that crippled a lot of his early game momentum, getting his minions buffed up. Frost landing in gets a 1-4 for his troubles. Not the worst drop he could have gotten from that Piloted Treader, but also not the best, of course. IceFox thinking over what he is going to do with his remaining free mana. And now xyuan standing at 22 hit points. Gets out the Misha with the Animal Companion, so has his defenses bolstered again. Misha probably the best one of all the Animal Companions he could have gotten right now. Now back to IceFox. Let's see what options he has. Has a Frostbolt in hand, Frost Nova, which he probably wouldn't want to use right now. So opts to use his spell, or at least thinking about it, duplicating the minions he already has on the field. Though I'm not too sure why he would do that right now. I guess just to get some minions out in his hand, because he doesn't really have any right now except for Alexstrasza, but of course being a 9 mana minion, that's not going to be too helpful at this stages of the game. xyuan is looking to ramp up a little bit here. What does he get? Gets himself a Mad Scientist for it, which is pretty helpful because it does have a Death Rattle effect instead of a Battle Cry. So for those of you who don't know, Battle Cry minions that get summoned on the field by an effect, they don't get their Battle Cry effects. Death Rattle minions, on the other hand, still maintain their effects, because of course their effects kick in as soon as they die. And xyuan has a secret to play here, so it does decide to bust that one out, not opting to use the last durability of his Eaglehorn Bow, since he does want to get those durability stacks back from his secrets triggering. But the question is xyuan, or is IceFox rather, going to attack in that? Because he can probably expect this kind of playstyle. He can probably expect a Freezing Trap coming out. And he's actually thinking about blasting his own Explosive Sheep to wipe out the field, which would be a pretty smart play, as it would mean that he wouldn't have to attack and that secret wouldn't trigger for a while. So it does decide to go for the attack and does give 1 durability to xyuan's Eaglehorn and Bow, but still continues with the play he has intended. So wanted to just bust out the secret, but of course another secret landing into xyuan's lap, and seems like we have some issues with the stream here. Of course this is a live feed from China, so we might have some issues with that one. So sorry about that. Seems like everything is a-okay now. Hopefully that won't happen again. If it does happen again, I can of course switch to a different feed, and hopefully that will be a little bit more fruitful. Frost Nova can be used to freeze all the minions on xyuan's field. He does have a beast for his kill command card to be used right now. seems like there are some feed issues, so we'll be right back and I'll make sure at the feed. Okay, and we are back. Sorry for that one. As I said, I'm getting a live feed from China, so sometimes the stream might be lagging. But I have switched to a different feed, so it should be a-okay now. So quick update on what is happening. IceFox still sitting at 30 health, xyuan at 18. Both sitting at 10 mana right now, so we have headed into the late game state. Sludge Belcher coming out for IceFox. xyuan does have an Iron Beak Owl to counter that, though it has some beasts, but Unleash the Hounds is not going to benefit him now. Maybe if he plays it in combination with that Cult Master to draw some extra cards. And two cards being drawn are Savannah High Main and another Kill Command, so good play there by xyuan to get his draw engine a little bit going more. Still can sacrifice one of his cards there. Has a Loa Feb on the field as well now. But of course, that Loa Feb is summoned by an effect instead of by its own. Instead of by an inherent summon, so that means that Loa Feb won't have an effect and that IceFox can play all the spells that he wants, including that pretty Flame Strike which he has in his hand right now, which he can use to clear the board. I'm not quite sure what trap xyuan has right now, as the Chinese feed hasn't really hovered over it, so I'm assuming that is still the Snake Trap. Oh no, it is an explosive trap, so a snake trap earlier was already triggered. But of course, that doesn't really matter too much. Flame Strike gonna land, clearing out most of the board, leaving that Loa Feb with only one hit point, but nothing a quick Fire Blast can't fix. So now let's take a quick look at xyuan's hand. xyuan can't do a whole bunch of damage though. Savannah High Main on the field and Unleash the Hounds just to put out some pressure here, but that Loa Feb is still standing. Let's see what the next card in IceFox his hand is gonna be. Has a Blizzard as well to shut down the advances of xyuan, but Polymorph also gonna do the trick, turning that Sludge Belcher into a 1/1. She plays his own Sludge Belcher and still has to do 7 damage to win the second game. Clockwork Gnome now coming out for xyuan. Kill Command being used to get rid of that Sludge Belcher and the respective taunted minion, as well as xyuan just basically can't do anything else and plays out his entire board, showing this is what I've got, what is your response? Dropping out his entire hand. And of course, IceFox now has plenty of information and knows what to do right now. Draws into an Antique Heal Bot. And that one going to be played as well to buff him back up to 29, and another taunt on the field, 2-8. And I don't think that xyuan can get over that by any way or form. Has a Time Rewinder and an Animal Companion. What does he get from that one? Does he get the one that buffs up his minions? But xyuan conceding to IceFox. Welcome back to game 4 between IceFox and xyuan. xyuan playing with his last class Paladin against IceFox is Mage, who also has a Paladin in his back pocket to play if he loses the Mage one. So coin gonna be used to bring out his 2-8 taunt, and that's gonna be a little bit hard for xyuan to get over at this point with the minions in his hand right now, so he has to take a little bit of time. Shielded Minibot gonna be used to at least bump it down to a 2-6. So the secret coming out for IceFox. And the shield mini bot also dying. Sylvanas Windrunner being drawn by xyuan. 4-2 True Silver Champion going to be equipped, ramming it into that one. What does he get? Defender of Argus. That is going to trigger the secret, and that is going to give 2 copies as well to IceFox. So he'll be pretty happy about that one, as he can set up a defensive board yet again. And sitting at 4 mana now. What is he going to do? Has a Doomsayer in his hand and is going to play that one. He could also use his Fire Blast to get rid of that overhand recruit to make sure that that Doomsayer will survive the next turn, as xyuan only has 6 damage on the field right now. Doomsayer is going to trigger and remove everything on the field. Another Doomsayer still in IceFox's hand. Sludge Belcher now being dropped by him to bolster his defenses. And now xyuan thinking about what he is going to do, and it's going to be Sylvanas Windrunner being busted out. And now IceFox has to work around that Sylvanas Windrunner, or at least make sure that the Sludge Belcher dies along with it, because if he doesn't, then xyuan, of course, is going to get that 1-2 slime in response. Though I do see a Polymorph, I think, hidden away in IceFox's hand. But I'm not too sure if he actually does want to play that because of future minions that xyuan might be playing. So he does decide to do that 1 damage to Sylvanas Windrunner. Not quite sure why. Probably just to ensure that it won't die next turn. Maybe baiting out xyuan to let it attack into the Sludge Belcher, and then letting it live with only 1 hit point. But xyuan not falling for that one, so currently xyuan is in the lead as far as the board goes. And it seems like the game has turned into a little bit of a stalemate because of that Sylvanas Windrunner and the Sludge Belcher now both being on the field, as neither player really wants to do anything. xyuan doesn't want to run his Sylvanas Windrunner into that Sludge Belcher, and IceFox sure as hell doesn't want to attack into that Sylvanas Windrunner, but it seems like xyuan is going to take the initiative right here. And Loafab going to be followed up as well, so Loafab is going to make sure that xyuan, or the IceFox, can't really play a lot of spells, but then again, looking at his hands, it's mostly comprised of minions, so I don't think that xyuan knows that. Probably expecting more spells coming out from IceFox. And IceFox does have more cards in his hand, but he needs to find a way to get rid of the board of xyuan, because xyuan is gaining momentum. xyuan still has Sylvanas Windrunner on the field, a Sludge Belcher, and even if even if IceFox manages to find a way to get on the aggressive here onto xyuan, then he still has a Guardian of Kings to heal him back up, has a Coghammer as well. I feel that xyuan, once he finally draws into that muster for battle, that we will see xyuan like really going all out. And I think that what IceFox is trying to do here, he's trying to put everything on the board into a Flame Strike range. xyuan is going to go for that Coghammer play here, and Divine Shield and Taunt landing on Sylvanas Windrunner, so probably one of the better options here, as it will survive for quite a long time, and knowing that xyuan is going to go full on aggressive, so because of that Taunt and Divine Shield landing onto Sylvanas, it does mean that IceFox has to do a tremendous amount of work to just get rid of that one. Divine Shield does land though, Sylvanas still standing, and spending his 6 mana Blizzard to get rid of that one as well. So now back to xyuan, who draws into an Elder Peacekeeper. Knife Juggler and Piloted Shredder as well. And Xian just wants to go aggressive here. The problem with Xian in the previous two games is that I feel like he played a little bit too defensively and allowed IceFox to generate card advantage, and eventually Xian just couldn't really keep up with the card advantage of IceFox. But learning his lesson from the previous games is just going full out on the offensive here, with IceFox only sitting at 9 health at this point, has an anti-Q-bot in hand so he can buff himself back up, but goes for the Alexstrasza play instead just to get that strong minion out on the field. But Xian prepared and draws into the perfect card there, the Black Knight, and has enough mana to get rid of both, but wants to get a Piloted Shredder out first, and he gets another Piloted Shredder out with that one. Big Game Hunter shooting the Alexstrasza. And Xian still in the lead here, 22 health against 12, and there isn't a whole bunch that IceFox can do right now except play the Doomsayer and the Ice Nova, but Crowd, seeing that he has drawn to a Flame Strike as well, gets a totem for it. So good play there by IceFox, first getting rid of the Piloted Shredder to make sure that Xian only gets 1 minion from the Death Rattle instead of 2, but Xian, not really caring, still goes full on the offensive here. Shield and Minibot coming out as well, Guardian of Kings, and Xian still sitting at 28 health here, but I feel that his aggressive plays might be a little bit punished now, as he is running out of cards as far as the hand go. Cone of Cold, perfectly played by IceFox to freeze the entire field, and another Doomsayer coming out. Still sitting at 4 mana. He's wondering whether he should play something more. Does play his 2/8 taunt, and Iron Beak Owl coming out, but he is going to use the Black Knight instead. It seems, not too sure if that is the wisest idea, as he does have an Iron Beak Owl still, but is going to use that one. And he could of course use the Iron Beak Owl to get rid of the Doomsayer effect, which would of course leave him with a field for the next turn. And there you have it, a full field for Xian. Frost Nova is still available for IceFox though, so he can stall a little bit. But still, IceFox is going to have a lot of trouble with this board. And what he needs to do, it seems, is just try and stall out as much as possible till he can get some more cards going on. Anti-Q-bot is going to be the response to that one, buffing him back up to 17 health. And I'm not too sure what he is going to hit with his last 2 mana. Of course, why wouldn't he use Fire Blast? Maybe blast that Guardian of Kings to 4 health, hoping that he can draw a Flame Strike next turn. So is doing just that. Lay on Hands now being drawn, but Xian just passing turn, can't do anything here. Full board. Now back to IceFox, Cold Light Oracle. And looks like he's desperately drawing for cards there. Draws a second Cold Light Oracle and the spell to freeze for free damage, but that's not going to help him too much here. Time is running out. Double Frost is going to be used to freeze the high value minions from Xian. And a secret being played as well. And Xian drawing into Tyrian Fordring. That would leave a huge impact on the board as well, because of course if Tyrion Fordring dies and it hasn't been silenced, then he does get that Ashbringer, which means that Xiang can keep hammering on him. Another Cold Light Oracle being put in the hand of IceFox because of that secret triggering, of course. Tyrion Fordring is going to be dropped along with the last Silver Hand recruit, filling up the board of Xiang yet again. Of course, that Doomsayer silenced, so it doesn't really care about that. Only cares about the damage. And let's see if this aggressive playstyle from Xiang has been paying off. Of course, IceFox still sitting at 11 health. Doesn't have a Frost Nova anymore. I think he used both of them. And shaking his head. I think he knows that he needs a miracle to get out of this one. I think he already expended his Flame Strike as well. I'm not too sure how many he is playing in his deck though. If it's either 1 or 2, as I don't have the deck lists ready here. So I'm just going on what I see here. Cold Light Oracle being played. Let's see what card he gets. True Silver Champion, Muster for Battle for Xiang. And another secret coming out for IceFox. Couldn't really see which one it was played a little bit too fast. Of course, Polymorph still available for IceFox to turn Tyrion Fordring into a little sheep, so no Death Rattle effect, no Ashbringer for Xiang at this point. And I think that Xiang is just scouting the field right here. Is going to do as much damage as possible here, but is that going to be game here? No. Secret will trigger. It is Ice Block. So Xiang, seeing that he cannot make game this turn at the very least, and let's see what IceFox drawing into. Another Frost Nova. So it didn't only use one, apologies for that one. So it freezes up the entire field, so that will give him another turn at the very least, as Xiang can't summon anything on the field because of his field now being swarmed. Xiang waiting for IceFox to pick his target. And I think that IceFox would probably be wise to go for a Silver Hand recruit, but instead is going for Xiang himself. True Silver Champion being equipped, gonna get rid of that anti-heal bot, not expending it on IceFox, and knowing that IceFox already used both of his Frost Novas. Pretty sure this time. Explosive Sheep being drawn by IceFox, and he can actually do something with that. If he blasts it himself, then that will mean a complete board wipe in favor of IceFox. But whatever he plays, Xiang will still have 4 damage at the very least with that True Silver Champion in his hand. The Muster for Battle Quartermaster can be played next turn as well. But Xiang is now seeing that IceFox has copied his minions here and has another Doomsayer and another Explosive Sheep here. So well played there by IceFox. Plays another Doomsayer, and a little bit preemptively maybe, but Xiang drawing into Dr. Boom here. So here's the interesting thing. I think, I'm not too sure, but I think that Xiang can just play the Dr. Boom now and let the Boombots be destroyed. But that would, of course, be a gamble here. People in the crowd cheering on Xiang for him to do it. Has 10 cards in his hand. And he is going to use Consecration Equality here instead of Dr. Boom. Muster for Battle now coming out as well. Not making lethal just yet, not winning the game. Still, IceFox still in this. Let's see what card he has drawn. A Sludge Belcher. It's going to give him a little bit of respite here. Explosive Sheep now being dropped. Wiping out the field. Xiang still with that 1-4 weapon in his hand. Sludge Belcher going to go and be dropped on the field. Harrison Jones now coming out. Alder Peacekeeper as well. Follow the rules, it says in Chinese. And that Sludge Belcher getting debuffed to a 1-5. So let's take a quick look at what IceFox can still do. Has a Blizzard in his hand, but he is taking a huge risk with those two Boombots now being on the field. If one of them lands on himself and does free damage, it's basically a 50-50 chance now in all ways and forms if he doesn't drop a minion on the field right now, because if one Boombot dies, it's a 50-50% chance that it will land on himself, and after that it's a 50-50% chance that it will kill him for lethal, as it will do 1-4 damage. So first card going to be played is the Polymorph. Going to turn that Dr. Boom into Sheep, and now with that 2-8 Taunter being played, it will give him a little bit more of a chance of surviving when those Boombots do eventually die, as they're basically taking time bombs at this point. And Xiang drawing his last card here, his last consecration. Xiang playing this out very slowly though. He could take the risk with the Boombots right now and win the game. Consecration coming across. IceFox at 1 hit point, trying to clear out the minions as much as possible. And the first bot landing, and both landing in the taunted minions, and Xiang not too happy right now. And IceFox can make a huge play now with his double Cold Light Oracle. Quartermaster being dropped there. Xiang took the risk, but it did not pay off. But IceFox, knowing that he cannot win with the cards in his hand, the best he can do is play a Cold Light Oracle. But now he is running out of cards as well. Xiang fatigue, taking damage. Plays the second Cold Light Oracle. More damage being taken, and he knows he has lost and decides to end it with dignity by his own hands. And Xiang will be Welcome back, everyone. This is Game 5 between IceFox and Xiang. Now, it is a Paladin Mirror matchup, so we're going to see how this one is going to turn out. Xiang, after a very long game, winning and prevailing from IceFox's Mage. Now, both of these players now in Game 5. The winner of this one will be moving on towards the round of 8, which is the quarterfinals, if I am not mistaken. Muster for Battle being played out by IceFox, going to set up his board. No Quartermaster in his hand, just playing that for board pressure. Now IceFox, 4 mana. Equality is probably not going to be played, so IceFox is probably going to trade equally across the board. Is going to do just that, but IceFox with a dominant board right here, especially with the Piloted Shredder. Xiang with a Sludge Belcher, but can't play that until turn 5, or he could coin for it if he would really want to. But then again, he has to be careful for potential Alder Peacekeeper play from IceFox. So he does go for the coin Sludge Belcher play here. So the IceFox, considering his options, has an equality in hand, can't play his own Sledge Belcher, or he can play an Elder Peacekeeper. If he really wanted to, he could play a low effect for some added pressure to make sure that Xyuan doesn't really play any spells. So first, let's see what he's gonna get, and he is gonna get an Armor Smith, so he is gonna get armor for that one, as long as the Armor Smith stays alive. Low effect is gonna be played, and a little slime still surviving, but now Xyuan has to find a way to get rid of that Armor Smith, because IceFox will of course benefit really well from that Armor Smith as long as it stays alive. But currently there's no way for Xyuan to get rid of that one, so IceFox is just going to gain more and more armor, sitting at 30 effective health right now. And looking at IceFox's hand right now, probably is going to play either the Sledge Belcher or the True Silver Champion at this point. Sylvanas Windrunner is also an option, but I feel like the board doesn't warrant a Sylvanas play at this point, so he is going to destroy his weapon, replace it with the True Silver Champion, and get rid of that Elder Peacekeeper. So no big minions left on the board for Xyuan. His low effect still up, could be used to get rid of that Silver Hand Recruit, and IceFox again sitting at 30 health. Quartermaster coming in a little bit too late, but Xyuan gonna go ahead and play that Sylvanas Windrunner. So now IceFox has to find a way around that. One way around that is to play his own Sylvanas Windrunner and crash it into Xyuan's Sylvanas Windrunner. Now I'm not quite sure how the mechanics would work as far as which Windrunner would trigger first and which would steal which. But all we do know is that IceFox has to get rid of that or sacrifice a minion for that one. One thing he could do is he could attack with True Silver Champion and attack with the Armor Smith to make sure that whatever Xyuan steals, it does mean that Xyuan won't gain any armor from that one. But instead it's going to trade on the low effect, so it's going to take the risk. Sylvanas Windrunner is going to steal away that Armor Smith. So now it's Xyuan that can gain armor here. And IceFox responding with a Sylvanas Windrunner as his last play. Now back to Xyuan, who has Consecration, Lay on Hand, and all those cards in his hand, but is going to go for the Piloted Shredder here, so he probably wants to get his field up and going again. Now, this is quite the interesting play here, because no matter what IceFox will hit, Sylvanas will be dropped to 1 health, unless of course he does play an Elder Peacekeeper. So IceFox on the aggressive here, and with that Sludge Belcher now, he is in a good position because Xyuan has to get rid of that Sludge Belcher force before he can do damage, and IceFox is probably just gonna look to do as much damage as possible to Xyuan. Crazed Alchemist, I think, is being dropped there by that Piloted Shredder. Lay on Hands is going to be played, double Shielded Minibot and a Dr. Boom coming out. So Xyuan is a little bit behind as far as the board goes, but as far as cards goes, he has so much more options. But IceFox does have an answer in the form of Equality and Consecration for anything that Xyuan might pull out. So IceFox is going to Consecrate. That is going to give some armor over to Xyuan though, for free in total, but IceFox is going to go ahead and do the damage. Xyuan sitting at 15. He's thinking about stealing one of those minions, and he does steal Sylvanas Windrunner though. 1 in 4 chance to get with the best minion out on the field, and IceFox is grinning, thinking, how could I let that happen to myself? And now it's Xyuan with an amazing board here. But again, as I mentioned earlier, IceFox did have the answer though, but he used that Consecration earlier, so only has an Equality in hand right now. He can't play that and force a lot out of Xyuan, but Xyuan is looking at the field and is pretty content with what he sees here. All their Peacekeeper are gonna go ahead and debuff that Sylvanas Windrunner to a 1/6. Divine Shield and Shield Minibot is gonna go down. IceFox doing an excellent job at clearing the field here, but the field isn't completely cleared. Another Shielded Minibot being dropped. Xiang gonna go ahead and play that Consecrate. It is gonna leave IceFox with a little bit of a board still, but not for very long. And Xiang just refusing to give up the Armor Smith he stole away though, as he could have run it into the Shield Minibot and attacked it with his weapon, but decided against it because that Sylvanas Windrunner is still taunted up, so he can benefit a lot more from that one. Now IceFox with 2 cards in his hand, Equality, and I can't see the second yet. It is a Knife Juggler, so first is gonna reinforce and is just gonna attack. Now Sylvanas Windrunner probably not gonna live for a whole much longer. Dr. Boom not being played, so it wants to save it up for a later play here. Has a lot of damage on the field right here and does go straight for IceFox. With all the damage he has, IceFox now being dropped to 13. What response does he have? What is the next card going to be? Equality might be helpful if he plays Knife Juggler, Equality, and then reinforces it. It can get rid of something at the very least, but I don't think he has anything to prevent the lethal coming in from next turn, because looking at Xiang's board, has 9 damage at the very least. Dr. Boom can be played as well, and that would only be an even bigger nail in the coffin for IceFox here. So excuse me, I did mean lethal in the next couple of turns, as Xiang doesn't have enough damage, but Knife Juggler are doing a lot of work here. So now has 11 damage on the board, but never mind, he does have lethal with that Consecrate in hand, but decides to go for the Quartermaster.